It was 1963, a warm summer's night in the heart of the English countryside. The biggest robbery of all time was about to take place.
I saw the lights of the train coming towards me, picked up the walkie-talkie and said, "This is it, this is it, this is it."
Bruce Reynolds was the mastermind behind this audacious plan. A plan so well executed, the gang fled with a staggering £2.6 million. How did they do it? This is the story from the man who organized it all.
First I heard about it was, of course, on the radio news. It came up to say that a Royal Mail train had been hijacked in Buckinghamshire, and it was thought that rather a lot of money might have been stolen. What an understatement that turned out to be.
All day, scores of cars, motorcycles, bicycles have been arriving at the gates of Leatherslade Farm, where the mail bandits hid with their loot for a few days after the train ambush.
It was Buster that woke me up, and he said it's 2.5 million plus, you know.
The council chamber has been packed all day. Piled in a corner, a great stack of exhibits: an axe, 3 pickaxe handles, mailbags, boiler suits, sleeping bags, and 8 tea chests crammed with yet more exhibits.
The Fleet Street Press was styling it the crime of the century. 2.6 million was stolen. Today would be about £33 million.
The Great Train Robbery entered the history books when a highly organized gang stole millions of pounds from a Royal Mail train. In just 30 minutes, 15 men had hijacked the travelling post office and offloaded the cash. But its success was down to its perfect planning. Well-known career criminal Bruce Reynolds believed he was just the man for the job.
I was recognised as a face in the underworld. I was 32, full of juice, so it was just really a question of finding the right, as we used to call it, a piece of work. We wasn't that far away from the end of the Second World War. So when they say swinging 60s, it was certainly swinging 60s. I was drinking in the Star Belgravia with Billy Hill, industrialist film producers, all those debutantes that like to mix with a bit of rough. I was going to the same tailor that Cary Grant went to in driving sports cars of all types at that time, because that was also a mark of who you were in the world. There's a network that was supplying the inner circle of thieves with information.
One of these thieves was Gordon Goody, a well-established criminal with good contacts in the underworld. His connections with the solicitor provided the key Bruce needed.
A crooked solicitor said that he'd got information about a possible major robbery. He knew about a mail train coming from Glasgow to London. He said that the figure that had been mentioned to him had been 1 million to 6 million. As a thief, this is what you're looking for all your life. This is a chance to fulfill, let's say, romantic fantasies, and also enable me to literally retire from crime.
When jobs like this turned up, you either had the contacts to make it happen or let the opportunity pass you by. Bruce grabbed it with both hands. This was serious cash. Well known in the criminal underworld, he was fresh from a robbery at Heathrow Airport.
I'd been involved, or wanted for questioning, as the euphemism goes, by Scotland Yard over the airport robbery. It was a well-organised robbery, and as I say, it got great press acclaim. Met up with my friends, And of course, my enthusiasm infected the others to an extent. I said, we've got to get to work, and we've got to get to work with something that's going to be worthwhile. I was the motivator. I was the one who had the enthusiasm. I was the one that made sure everything was looked at from my point of view rather than leave it to someone else.
But a robbery on this scale was going to take some doing. It wasn't a job for opportunists. It needed the right team. And Bruce knew just the men. 31-year-old Charlie Wilson was a big-time criminal who Bruce had worked with before. 34-year-old Ronnie Biggs was a one-time carpenter turned small-time crook. Crucially, he could supply a much-needed driver for the train. 32-year-old Buster Edwards was a former boxer and nightclub owner and a long-time confidant of Bruce, a man he knew he could trust. What none of them knew was that this robbery would make them household names.
The nucleus of it was all people that I'd worked with on previous robberies, and you know, they knew how to keep their mouths shut and security-minded.
Making up the rest of the core team was Jimmy White and Thomas Daly.
When things had to be sort of drawn out, Buster wasn't living at home. He'd rented a flat in Twickenham, and we'd have meetings over there where Blackbird was brought out, and you know, you'd point out what the situation was, and you know, literally thrash it out. The idea was formed. As there at Bicester, there was an army barracks that if we had been interviewed by the police, you know, we was dressed like roughly sort of more military than railway. I was in charge of the operation as the major, and I would inform the policemen that we were on a military exercise.
Bruce quickly realized he needed more men he could rely on. Stopping a 135-ton locomotive was going to need a few heavies.
If there's 1 to 6 million, we need bodies to handle the bags. Plus, if things do go wrong on the track, we've got something like 80 people on the train to contend with. We wanted someone who knew railway procedures, who knew how to stop the train for sure. So Buster knew the South Coast Raiders, he knew 1 or 2 of them, and he knew they'd got a guy, Roger Caudry, who'd arranged for various methods where they'd stopped trains successfully on the South Coast line. So you have the big guys, they're the attack team, and the little guys are the technicians.
The gang was in place, 15 men, all ready for a slice of the action. But months of planning lay ahead, and in the underworld where secrets are hard to keep, Bruce was desperate to keep this one well under wraps.
What you're trying to do is not to excite any attention and keep a low profile, and if you're going to meet, particularly in large numbers, you've got to devise some sort of method. I mean, we used it to take a ball over to Wimbledon Common and, you know, kick it around a little bit, and then you go into a huddle when you say, this is the plan. One of my mentors said to me, Bruce, you've got to think you're a spy in an enemy country and behave accordingly, that everyone is out to catch you in some way or another. So when we had sort of meetings, we kept it as little as possible that we weren't together at any particular time.
Bruce knew people he could trust, but that wasn't enough. He had to know more about the Royal Mail train and its contents. An old contact proved to be the inside link he needed.
It was well known that railways carried a lot of money at various times, but to get the specific information is very difficult. Just the mere fact you know that trains carry money, well, that's not good enough. I went to see a contact of mine who was only a porter at Waterloo Station, and he outlined to me what trains came in with money, and there was what he termed the money train. He didn't know how much was on board, But what he did know, there had to be a lot of money because of the police presence when the train was unloaded.
The pieces were fitting together, but the perfect robbery wouldn't be a success if the perfect location couldn't be found, and time was running out. Bruce set to work visiting potential spots to hijack the train.
A lot of them were quite content, you know, to let me do the donkey work, to let me look at where we could stop the train. I found what I thought was the perfect spot. It was adjacent to a B road where there was a bridge with a culvert. The perfect spot to stop the train and unload it. The place we'd chosen, it really adjoined 3 counties, which of course always makes it difficult if a robbery has taken place. The counties get mixed up, who's handling it.
The location was spot on, but he also needed a base and somewhere to split the cash. He found it at Leatherslade Farm.
The decision was made that we should find a place where we could hide out rather than drive back home. It was 17 miles as the crow flied from Brigo Bridge to Leatherslade Farm. The crooked solicitor said he got someone who would buy the farm for us. A deposit was put down and we were allowed the keys to actually go ahead with it. So we sorted out where the train was going to be stopped. We worked out where the hideout was. We worked out a route from Brigo Bridge where the robbery would take place. With that, I think virtually everything was complete.
Everything was set. Months of preparation all came down to this one night. If it went to plan, the 15-strong gang would be made for life. But if it went wrong...
How you sort of make your mark in any walk of life, whatever your profession, is by results. We'd got 2 Land Rovers, both with the same registration plates. Perfect night, beautiful weather, countryside, you know, it was absolutely marvellous.
But just as the atmosphere intensified and the gang got into position, a message came through to put everything on hold. It looked like it was all over before it had even begun. It was the night of the biggest heist of all time. A gang of prolific criminals was about to hijack a Royal Mail train carrying millions of pounds. But just as everybody was ready to go, word came through to wait.
We've been told a date, the August bank holiday. Everyone was at the farm. Someone cycled out to a village some couple of miles away and phoned through the contact. And he said, no, you have to wait till tomorrow. After a bank holiday, obviously there's spending all over the country, so banks had excess money.
It took the banks a few days to collect the extra money for transportation to London, which meant a jackpot even more than originally thought.
So the contact said, you have to wait till tomorrow. That's when the major money is coming through. It was a day later than it should have been.
The promise of more money was enticing, but in the meantime, the gang had to sit and occupy themselves.
Then we had a lull, really, in the enthusiasm. 24 hours delay meant people started thinking, hold on a minute, the enormity of this crime we're about to commit could have devastating results with us. So there was a bit of rallying that had to be done.
Bruce's reputation kept the gang's morale together. They trusted his word and laid low at their hideout for 24 hours.
You're part of a group, you know. You can't suddenly say, I don't want to be in it now. You lose face with your comrades. They knew my provenance, you know. They knew that I was a very sound man. They knew that I'd been quite successful.